So we'll record now. Let me share again.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I was trying to catch on to you, and I was with a parent, so I'm here now. Sorry.
Mimi, you're on?
Yep. This is Mimi from CGH. Yep.
We're so glad you're on, Mimi. Thanks for being with us today. I will go ahead and jump onto yours. I'm going to share your presentation. Is that the best way, or would you like to do that? You're on the phone, correct?
I'm on the phone. Yep. You can do it. I think if I do it, I'll get some feedback.
Okay, so I will go ahead and share your screen. So again, for those of you who might just be popping on, we have with us today Mimi Hicks, director from CGH's daycare. She's going to share some of her room arrangements, some of her protocols, some of the procedures and things that they are doing to keep their students and staff healthy and to run an effective daycare. They've been up and going, and so I asked her to come on and share her expertise. So I'm going to go ahead and share her presentation here.
Thank you.
Mimi, I will turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much. As she said, I'm the director here at CGH Helping Hands Daycare, and through all this craziness, we have been open since the very beginning, which is the end of March. We were closed for just a week while we put our emergency license into effect, and we've been operating since. We were operating for essential employees only, which are, since we work for the hospital, we do have hospital children, hospital employee children, and open to the public as well. Our daycare shut down to all those people who, unless they were essential employees. So since then, we started, like I said, at the end of March. Our ratios were the same as what they are now, except our classrooms had to be all separate. We couldn't go outside. We couldn't do anything. We had to stay in our classrooms, which led me to be the cook and everything else, and just kind of had to be like a runner. So it's been an interesting experience. Since then, we've learned a lot. We're not so nervous. We're a little bit more secure in our decisions, I think, at this point. So does everyone, can they see the slideshow right now?
Yes, they can.
Okay, so the first one obviously is just our introductory. There's a cute little picture there. I thought was kind of funny, but that's kind of what we all look like right now. The next one here is upon arrival. We've limited it to one parent per drop-off and pickup, and it's got to be the same parent. So if mom drops off, we have like a little vestibule. They can kind of go into that little part. That's where we will temp every person. We will ask them our 3 questions. The parents have to sanitize upon arrival and departure. There's, just like the hospital, there's a sanitizer mounted against the wall. Those were there anyway for our centers, so we have been using those anyway. But it's the same parent drop-off pickup. If they call us and tell somebody different's picking up, then we actually take the child out to the parent. We're trying to minimize contact per everybody in here, and it's similar to what we would have for just like our whole center, and the same thing with the hospital. They're minimizing visitors as well, so it's just the one parent. We ask them 3 questions. Do you have a sore throat, shortness of breath, or a cough? If they say yes to any of those, they cannot come into the center. If they are sent home with any of those symptoms, they must be free for at least 72 hours before they come back. If somebody happens to get tested, they have to be negative, obviously, before they come back, and they have to wait till they get their test results. As soon as they come in, the children and the staff change their shoes right at the front door. We have like boot trays and everything right there. Even though their classrooms are further in the building, we want everything contained at the front door. So we keep that right there at the front door. If they do not have, like I said, shoes, we have adult shoe covers and child shoe covers. Everyone immediately washes their hands. Currently at this time, there is no travel restrictions for quarantine upon return, which is like the biggest thing right now because staff and children are going on vacation, but right now, that's what it is. And staff washing or sanitize upon entry and exit to each and every room. Really, they don't go in and out of each room, usually to the kitchen or to the bathroom, if that. So they have to sanitize and wash for each room there. So there's that. The next one is just a picture. Those are just the supplies that we are utilizing. Those are adult shoe covers. We get all of our supplies from the hospital, and we're kind of spoiled with that, but we really are appreciative and grateful, because if not, we would kind of be in the same predicament of getting supplies and things like that. But we use those shoe covers. They fit any size person shoe over any shoe, and you walk just the same. They have the grippies on the bottom, so there's, you can't slip or fall. The ones to the right, those are what we just ordered from Walmart.com. That's what they ordered. They look like they're slippery, but they're not. They're a thicker material, and they have the no skid on the bottom. So those are the shoe covers that we utilize. Obviously, when we come in, there's a new mask for every adult every day. They can bring in a cloth mask if they choose. It has to be obviously cleaned and sanitized every day. If not, there's one every day. So it's just safer if it's soiled or if it's dirty. There's always one there for them every day. These are the two different thermometers we use. Majority of the time we use the infrared thermometer, which is the one on the right. It's no contact. You just push the button. You don't even have to touch their forehead at all. Sometimes we get a kind of a different, temperature, and it'll show you right on it what it is. We show the parent so they can see it. If it happens to be high, which there's been a couple times, we use the ear thermometer to double check, and of course that one was high, so we sent that child home. So that way we kind of had those, both. The other one, the ear thermometer does have the covers, and they're right there in that picture. So that's kind of what we use every day, and we use those for staff as well. The next one is documentation. We document every temp, every child, everybody on there. The children are all in one sheet, and we ask them the questions, and we either write yes or no or whatever, and then if we sent them home. The staff, we write on a separate sheet those same questions that we ask the staff as we ask the children, and then after every week we have to send that to our employee health nurse here at the hospital. If in doubt, there's a question or a parent is questioning, our decision to send them home or anything else, we can ask our employee health nurse to come over here and confirm that or give us some guidance or assistance. So we do have that. The next slide is the image of our pediatric masks. Those are the ones that we use. The hospital has those. They have Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse on them. They're really cute. They're super, super thin, and they work really great. The ears are really soft. They don't bother the ears, and the kids wear them amazingly. They are in this amazing routine, and so when I see comments or people say that, I'm like, these kids are resilient. They are doing it as young as 2 years old, and you'll see here in just a second. It doesn't even bother them. It's just a whole new world. It's kind of neat. So these are what we use. If kids want to bring their own in, they can. We just make sure that it's clean. If they've, were crying or things like that and it's soiled, we get them one of ours. So we have plenty for them to use. The next slide is they do wear theirs all day long, except for on the playground, outdoor times, meal times, and nap times, since we are a daycare. And the rest of the day, the children and the staff wear their masks as well. I'm right now in my office, so I have my mask off and there's nobody in here, so I'm okay. Any other time, and right now my mask is stored. This is kind of how we store them. We use basically a paper plate. We take the mask off and put it on the bottom, take another paper plate and cover it over top, and we put their name on top and just kind of put it in a certain area. When the kids know it's time to take them off, they go and find their little spot, put them in there, and then when it's time to put them back on, then they go get them on, and then we wash, of course, before and after we put them on.
Can I ask, in regards to your playground time,
Yes.
they're not going to be wearing the masks, and I guess the concern I have is they're likely not going to stay at 6 foot social distance. So how do you justify that, or how would I justify that as a building administrator? Are you also sanitizing any of the playground equipment between kids also using it?
Yes. So in the very beginning, when all these regulations came out, they said we had to keep them on outside. So we did, and the kids kind of ran around and they kept them on. And then a little bit later, DCFS had said we can take them off. So we have just kept them off. They don't technically always stay socially distanced. We have 2-year-olds and 5-year-olds, and so they're just running around. But majority of the time they're running and they're not next to each other, so they're playing differently. So we've just kind of let them play and just let them do what they normally do. It's literally like their free time, and we've done that. We have sanitized after every playground use. We use, and I'll show you here later, we use the gallon weed sprayers. We've used those strictly for sanitizing purpose, so every teacher has to wipe those down. And if we see, a child, with certain toys or things in their mouth, we put them in our sanitizing bucket and we, wipe those down while they're out there. But if not, we have just let them play. So I don't know that that's right or wrong or indifferent, but that's the only times that they cannot have it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, and that's kind of what we've done. So far, knock on wood, we haven't had anything yet. So I'm hoping that everything we've done is working. That's kind of what I've been saying. Whatever we're doing has been working, so we're going to go with it. But yeah, we've sanitized after every playground use, which has made us rearrange our playground times. Normally it was just kind of one right after another, but now we have to wait, because once we use our sanitizing solution with bleach water out in the playground, we have to wait 10 minutes for that to take effect for that solution. But yeah, so that's kind of what we've done with storage for masks in the classroom. The next slide here is we have implemented the nap dividers for a toddler through preschool. They're just clear little dividers is basically what that is while they sleep, because we can't technically put them, 6 feet apart. We just don't have enough space. The other ones on the right, those are infant panel dividers. We have those anyway in between each crib, so we were kind of lucky that we had implemented those already. So we have put those within our classroom. The next one is infant strollers with custom-made dividers. This one was another one, like very similar with your question about the outdoors. We have lots of infants, and we take them on these stroller rides. Well, they obviously can't social distance on a stroller ride, so we made these custom panels. Dixon Glass actually made this for us, and they took 4 of our strollers and put these little plexiglass things on them. So like a sneeze guard basically is what it is to, we can still go outside and do these things instead of not going outside and keeping them all together.
Very creative.
Yeah. The next slide there, this is a little girl. She's not even 2. She wants to put the mask on. She wants to be like Big Brother. She's, she didn't have to put one on because she wasn't 2 years old yet. But like right here, she's like, I just want to be like Big Brother. So she's got it on, and she's been wearing it, same thing all the time. Crazy thing is this little child happens to be a thumb sucker, and the parent was really concerned and worried that she wasn't going to do it, but she's been doing it well and not even touching it. So that's my little one. The next one is, this is in the 2-year-old classroom. This is another child that's next to her, but I just happened to take it of her because she's still cutting and playing and doing her things, and that mask does not seem to be bothering her absolutely at all. She's still going about her day. There's still other things that we're trying to put into place yet, but we're supposed to wear the mask when we can't social distance, so that's what we're doing in the classroom. So it's just a picture of a 2-year-old really doing this and doing well, I think. The next one here is also in the 2-year-old classroom. We have, I think, a 3-year-old in here. They were going to listen to a story. They were sitting there pretty attentively. I thought they weren't messing with their mask. It was on. You see a couple have some that, they brought from home. But, they don't seem to be messing with their mask is kind of what I really liked about this picture. Staff has one on. So, that's kind of, I just thought it was kind of a neat picture to show that they can do it. This is some preschoolers in the classroom. They're in their classroom, they're playing. We have one little guy with glasses on. He's brought his own mask, as you can see in that picture. He's playing. They don't seem to be bothered by the mask whatsoever. The other one has, of course, one of our masks on. They're going about their day and doing their thing like they normally would do. I just thought these pictures were kind of neat to show and capture the fact that these kids weren't messing with it. That's not to say it doesn't happen, because it does. And when they do, we have them just wash their hands. And the kids kind of are really good, and they like telling each other, oh, he touched it. Okay, go wash your hands. And so we all kind of keep each other accountable. So it's kind of neat.
Hey, Mimi, we had a question in the chat.
Sorry.
Is your center air conditioned?
Yes. Yes, we are.
We had one other question. The districts are considering taking out all their soft surfaces. Are you able to keep those in, and how are you cleaning those?
We have taken out all soft toys. You can't tell by some of these pictures, but we've taken out, or actually in this next picture you'll be able to see, We've taken out a lot of supplies, and we've closed them off. In this next picture, we turned a shelf around. We have closed off a lot of different toys and different manipulatives. We've just contained and condensed a lot of our classrooms, just because it's just safer to do. No soft animals, no soft toys, no nothing. It's just not, we haven't had them in since March, and I don't feel comfortable yet bringing any part of that stuff back in.
Okay.
Yeah. In this next picture, they're at the table. Looks like they're doing puzzles. And same thing, they're a couple different kids. You know, they look pretty attentive into their puzzle, into their activity, and not to their mask is kind of why I like this picture. If you look further in the back, you know, we do have the blocks out, we have the paints out. There is a shelf that is turned around. I don't know if you can quite tell that, but we just turned that shelf around because just to contain lots of the other things that we have. And if there's something that we need to get out, we just bring it out as we need it. But we have condensed the rooms quite a bit. The next is just an image of some of the wipes that we've used. Since we're the hospital, they changed some of our products for cleaning quite a bit. This is probably the most recent and the best one that we've used so far. It's Oxiver wipes. They're sanitizing wipes. They're very expensive, but they do kill everything, just about everything on there, and it's a 1-minute kill time. So basically it means you don't have to sit and wait for it to dry. You got 1 minute and then it's dry. It doesn't leave a residue. It doesn't have a smell. It's very, very good. They use this in the ORs as well. So we are using this. We go through these quite a bit, but it's not just, you don't use it kind of like a baby wipe. You really use it because it's got a lot of chemical on it, but it's safe. It's safe for the kids to have around and things like that. After the time is dried, it says keep out of reach of children, but after that 1 minute, then you're safe. But yeah, it has saved us tremendously.
And Mimi, with that, you use it on your tables and your books and your toys, use it for everything?
Everything, yep.
And it's safe on everything. And then, yep. So yes, that was a really good point. Check with your districts, make sure, find out how long the wait time is on all of your cleaning supplies. Some do need to be sprayed on and left on, some need to be sprayed and not touch them again for 10 minutes to work. So that's a really good point of making sure that we are not only disinfecting, but we're disinfecting appropriately. So thank you.
Yeah.
We do have a few questions in the chat.
Okay.
We have, how do you sanitize your rugs?
Okay.
And then, how are you cleaning your books?
Okay. Okay.
And then, do you allow blankets at nap time?
Yep. Okay.
And then a question about monitoring by the state.
Gotcha. Okay. So our rugs, what we do, we vacuum daily. Our rugs and all of our floors, we have serviced once a month by Service Master. They come and do a steam clean and things like that. If someone happens to get sick or anything like that on those, we pull those out of their classroom anyway until they can get sanitized from that way. But we have those professionally done just because of the usage. But normally we just do it. We only have a couple rugs in the classroom as it is because of that. And then we try to get those sanitized once a month anyway. That's our normal procedure. But we have taken quite a bit of those rugs out just because cloth and material is really hard to keep clean with all this, is what we found. Our books, we have utilized these Oxiver wipes because they're pretty quick and easy, and you can just kind of wipe them and set them, and by the time you're done wiping the others, they're already done. Your 1 minute time is over. Before, we were using a different sanitizer, which was like an 8-minute time, and then regular bleach is a 10-minute kill time, and that's a long time really to sit and wait and have nobody else touch it. So that's kind of how we went to these Oxiver wipes, and they're safe. They don't tear up the book or, eat the residue. So that's what we do for our books. We do allow blankets at nap time, but not from the children's home. We provide all the bedding. So the only thing that the parents can bring in the morning is, their child, their extra set of clothes, and then for their infants, their bottles and their formula. If they bring their diapers in, that's fine. but we provide all the bedding. We change the bedding every day. So we're going through laundry like nobody's business right now. We bring the blankets in, we launder them, we do all of that. Just because if you bring little Johnny's nap time blankie in, who knows what it's got, and we just are eliminating everything. No book bags, no nothing. I know it's different for a school because they need their book bag and things like that, but for us, they don't have to bring any of that. We can provide all that. That's what we're doing for blankets. For monitoring, we normally anyway, for every classroom, we document every time we sanitize a room, mop a room, clean a room. There's like a little check sheet every day. We normally did that 2 times a day in every room anyway. So on that sheet, we've added 2 more columns, and so we're trying to do it 4 times a day. We don't tell the parents that's what we've done, because then inevitably somebody will count and say, oh, you missed this day and something like that. We are definitely sanitizing more, and so that's how internally we have documented that. So every classroom, there's like a little check sheet, and we signed off initial that we've sanitized in whichever that room. And usually, like I said, normally it's 2 times a day to every room, but now it's 4 times for monitoring.
Good questions.
Yep. Let's see what else. The next one I've got, like I said, we've utilized our gallon weed sprayers as outdoor and sanitizing sprayers, bleach water sanitizing solution. It's a 10-minute kill time. So we've had to adjust our playground times. And like I said, I don't know the exact answer. I can't tell you that all of these are the exact answer. All I can say is that all of these things we have done so far have been working. And so far we're going to keep going because it's been working. And I feel like it's been cleaner, and, you know, we've eliminated a lot of the things from outdoors. And so that's kind of how we feel at this point. I think DCFS at the last point put in all these procedures anyway for us to do. So we did those, and then they took it back and said, no, these are just strongly suggested. You don't have to do them, but we feel confident that we're doing them good, so we're just going to keep it going, type thing.
Do your, we had a question in the chat. Are your children playing together in the classroom and sharing toys? Understanding of the document is that isn't allowed in our classrooms.
Okay. They do share toys. There, like I said, there's not a whole, like they were in that class or that picture, they were playing blocks and playing, you know, whichever. They did those. Once they're done with that, we can sanitize, spray them, we can wipe them down, but they have passed and they have shared things. I mean, like I said, I don't know that there's not a whole lot of things in the classroom, and we bring things out as we come and we wipe them down as we put them away, but that's kind of how we've did it.
And we'll know more when we get that FAQ guidance from ISB. So DCFS's guidances are a little bit different than ISB's. I think with ISB, they are not supposed to interact and switch their toys, but we will know more once that FAQ comes out.
Okay. I can tell you that even like through DCFS and through the schools, and since this whole thing has started, all I can tell you is every day, which sounds crazy, but it's so true, that every day be prepared for something new, which is so crazy because of obviously our work that we do. You know, one day we came in, they said, now you have to monitor temps. The next day they came in, they said, now you have to change shoes.
Not sure, slow, or she's not going to like it. Slow.
Sorry. Yes, things keep changing. It feels like daily, so we do have to be very flexible with that. I agree.
Yeah, and it's just kind of what it is. You know, there's nothing we can say about it. We just have to do it, and really we have to have the mindset that we're trying to do this to be safe and healthy and to keep everyone as safe and healthy as we possibly know how and can. And I'm sure that there's better things and more things we can do. Like at the end here, I want to make these for our classrooms yet, because obviously our kids, even with the mask, I feel like they're still close and still, like you said, sharing toys, and there's things we can still alleviate. So in this next one, like I said, I want to make these yet for the classrooms, for their classroom tables, so they can have dividers still on top of their masks. But that we haven't made those yet. We're in the process of those. And then, like I said, the things to remember is You know, this is a pandemic. We're learning this together every day. It's normal, like I said, it's things to change daily. Staff must maintain positivity at all times. And I'm here to tell you, oh my gosh, it's so hard as a director here to kind of keep that happy face and like, this is good. And they come to you and have all these, I don't have all the answers. I hate saying I don't know, but I don't know. I don't think nobody knows. It's $1 million question right now, when this is going to be over, so we just kind of have to go with it. And I think the governor said one time in his last week, he said, we just have to try to do our best. And I feel like with kids and with so far, we're trying to do our best to make this as safe as possible. And I think like if DCFS were to come in and say, hey, what are you doing? And I'm going to tell him and show him, these are all the things that we have tried, and we truly, truly are trying to do everything to make this best and better. And I don't really know that they have quite those answers yet either, but I mean, I would find it hard to believe they would say anything about that. But really, I think they've seen that we've made these attempts to make everything better. And that this is our new normal, and you know, we are in this all together type thing. And I really feel that no matter where we are all in this together. And then at the very end, there was just some websites that I got where I received some of my information from. And those are the websites that I constantly look at to, you know, those are my resources. Those are my point things. I, with the hospital, have, like I said, our nurse who can come over and help us. The CDC is working with them constantly, and if they bring different things down, you know, I am open to hear what they have to say and whatever else I need to change.
Yes, it's
We
nice
have
to
another
those.
question in the chat. How do you handle
Okay.
snack time?
Oh,
Say that again. How do I handle what?
Snack time. Or
Snack time.
in your daycare, so you have meals as well.
Yep. So the staff serve all the snack to the children. Obviously, they have gloves on. They have them as separate as they possibly can. We try to get the kids spread out in like every other chair. Normally, we would have, you know, say 5 kids. We'd all be crammed on one table. Now, if we have that many kids, we spread them out through all of our tables throughout the room. They eat their snack. They, you know, wash their hands, throw their things away, and that's kind of how we've done it.
that leads into another question. How many kids do you have in each session and how many adults? So how many are in your daycare at the moment? In each
Okay. It depends for us on our ages. For our infants, we have 2 infant classrooms. One infant classroom has a max of 8. And so right now, my enrollment, I only have 6 in there, and I have 2 adults, the 4-to-1 ratio. I have another infant classroom. That classroom can hold 12 infants. However, my max right now is 10 per the state, but I only have 7 in there. 7 infants, and I have 2 staff. My ratio is 4-to-1 still right now. My toddler classroom, my ratio is 5-to-1, and I have 8 children and 2 adults in that classroom. My 2-year-old classroom, technically it's a max of 16. Right now I can only have 12. So I have 8 children, I think, in there and 2 adults. And I have to have 2 adults throughout the majority of the day. The first 3 hours and the last 3 hours, I can keep 1 adult in there. But even if I have 6 children in that room, I still have to have 2 adults all day long, or majority of the day. My preschool classroom, normally my capacity is 20 kids in there. I can only have 15 in there right now. And so I do have 15, and I have 2 adults in that classroom. I have another classroom that actually has not been a classroom for probably about 13 years, but now is a classroom. It's a school-age classroom. It has a max of 10 school-agers. I have 7 school-agers in there right now and 1 staff in there. And that was our school-age classroom years ago, and has since been a break room, but we've converted it back because we needed another room. We do have a big area that we call our kid tile area, where's our indoor play area. Normally that can have a max of, I think, 32 at one time, but normally only 1 class goes out at a time, and they have to sanitize in between, and there's very few things out in that room. Very, very few.
So you're really keeping your cohorts together and separated from other cohorts. Classrooms are
All
staying
day, all day long. All day long. It's crazy. At the very beginning of this, our staff could not leave the room. They could not break, so they were working 11.5 hours straight in the same classroom. When they had to go use the restroom or things like that, I would go and stand at the edge of the door and kind of just keep a peek on them while the staff went to use the restroom. And they did not have a break all day long. We did that for April and May. So for April and May, my staff who were here worked 11.5 hours straight. Because we were operated on this emergency order through the governor, we were okay through the labor law. And that's how that worked, because people asked questions about that. And the hospital double checked, and that was what it was. We could do that. It was crazy. So our staff have been working crazy hours. But yeah, that's what we've done.
Sounds like you've gone above and beyond to provide for the healthcare workers and their children. So we appreciate that very much.
Thanks. It's kind of what we do. But yeah, other questions? Because I don't have my chat up here.
No other questions in the chat at the moment. Any other questions for Mimi before we let her get back to work?
Yeah. The other thing, too, I would say for masking, what I did for some of the children, if in resources are really tough, I understand. If there's a way that you have some parents who are so concerned about wearing the masks all day long, I had asked the parents to stop by, and I gave them a few to try at home so they could try before they came to school, or, you know, and get used to those. So that way they couldn't say, well, I don't have any. I gave them an opportunity and gave them some to try. And while they're here, I'm here to tell you, it is their whole new routine, and it is, I wish I could record the whole process, and you could see these little ones playing all day long, going about their day and not even touching it. So I know it sounds crazy, but it can be done. It really can be.
That's good to hear. That's very good.
Yeah, so it can happen. It's just, I mean, that I think is the biggest thing, for sure.
Okay, well, we will let Mimi get back. Thank you so much.
We did have one question come in.
Oh, sure.
About who are you going to have make when you do make those table dividers, are you going to have Dixon Glass or someone else make those for you?
I'm going to talk to our maintenance staff here first, and then if not, I'll ask Dixon Glass. Dixon Glass, just so you know, they have been in every bank, every facility possible. They have told me, and they have made all kinds of custom items. So no matter what it is, they can make it. Obviously, our strollers were probably the most unique. I'm sure he'll tell you that and show you that, because they took quite a bit. But yeah, I asked him about those, and so he said he could. But I'm going to ask with my maintenance staff to see if we can make them cheaper, because we'll need a lot of them. That's really my whole purpose. But if not, Dixon Glass. But they are really a huge resource.
Good question.
Yeah. Any other questions too? Anyone can, email me, or I would be more than happy to, answer questions. Like I said, ours is not by means the end all perfect, but so far it has helped, and I'm going to try to keep it that way. I'm trying. That's all I can do.
Sounds like you're doing an amazing job. We really appreciate it. And thank you for being on with us today. It's just so nice to hear from someone who's actually living it and breathing it right now. And it sounds like your kids are, acclimating and thriving with it. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Mimi.
Yep, thanks. Bye.
All right. Well, that was great. I just really wanted to give you an opportunity to hear from somebody who is already doing some of these things. I know some of their DCFS guidelines are a little bit different than ISB. So a few of the things they are doing may not completely line up, but I just thought you would like to hear from her. So what I want to do is I want to give you guys the opportunity to do some brainstorming, some really thinking about what will your classroom look like? What is the setup going to be? What can be in the classroom? What maybe needs to be taken out? What do centers look like? What does outside play look like? Restrooms, all those things. So I've created a planning document. Let me grab it. Oh, I need to exit out of her presentation real quick. And so I've created a planning document, and I'm going to put us in small groups of about 6 or 7 people. And share here, sorry about that. Here's our planning document. I'll show you the top really quick. At the top, I just have resources, so you can have them all in one spot. I have my PowerPoint from today. I'll also put Mimi's in there. After the recording today, I'll put your chat and the Zoom recording. So if you have any colleagues that could not attend, you can share that with them. We have our ISB fall document and the guidance FAQ. And then when the preschool comes in, I will add that there for you, as well as the priority standards when those come out. So those are just some resources for you at the top. And so what I have this divided into 2 sections, kind of our classroom environment and the logistics of it. And then the bottom section of this page is the instructional, what instruction will look like in our preschools. So I have 5 different areas here. I have kind of the organization of your classroom, what will tables, centers, toys, manipulatives, how's it all going to look all while social distancing? What type of PPE and face covering, some ideas for the masks. I loved her idea about using the paper plates with their names on it, and when they don't need their mask, putting them in there and keeping them closed so they could have it. I've heard some districts are thinking about having lanyards and having the kids clip their masks onto lanyards. So just brainstorming some ideas of the best way to store masks when they're not being used, and what types of masks you're going to be having your students wear, those types of things. In the second column, I have the different guidances from American Pediatrics, ISB, Illinois Health Department, so different resources there that you can click on to get some ideas if you need to learn more about what the guidance says. Cleaning and disinfecting the room. She shared how she's doing that with those 1-minute wipes. I had not seen those. Those are really cool. But you can discuss what your district is, how they're going to be having you clean and disinfect. Will you have a chart where you have to monitor kind of, I call it the target bathroom monitoring, where you have to sign your name and when you've cleaned the door handles and the tables and all of those things each day. Restrooms, drinking fountains, food service, your snack time, what will that look like? And then I just added this one this morning in the middle of the night when I was thinking about it. So I don't have the guidance up there as examples for you, but playground and outside learning. I've heard people are buying some of those big canopy tents for shade, so classes can be outside. They're putting on their supply list to have students bring beach towels, or I thought maybe those kinder mats, because those are more plastic and I thought could be wiped down a little easier, so that kids have kind of their space. Or hula hoops has been a big thing too, have everyone sit in their hula hoop to give them kind of that bubble of social distancing. So I just want to pick your brains as the experts. What are some ideas so that you can leave today with a list of some solutions and ideas that you can take to your classroom? And of course, all of this will defer back to your district. Each district is going to look a little bit different, but just having just a brainstorm and a resource to go to, I think is really beneficial. So when I put you in your groups, here's your directions. If you can start by just making introductions, tell everybody who you are and where you're from. And then if you can choose a facilitator, someone to keep the conversation moving and making sure that everybody has equity of voice, everybody has a chance to share ideas. If you can choose a recorder, I will put this form in the chat and they can pull that up and type on it for us. And then just discuss your ideas and your solutions and write in the recommendation box, and then choose a speaker. At the end, we're going to just share out some whole group ideas, just like a 30-second kind of recap of what your group discussed. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I will go ahead and put the planning document. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the preschool folder where you can find the recording of today plus all of our materials. I wanted to make sure you had access to that. And here is the planning document that we'll be using for today. In there. So when you go into your chat, into your breakout room, you can have somebody just click right on that and pull it up and share it. So let me grab our breakout rooms quick. We are going to, looks like we'll have 7 different rooms. So if group 1 would start by looking in that first box, and group 2 would go to number 2, and so on through group 5 down to playgrounds. And then group 6 and 7, you can start anywhere. That way we can get some ideas in all of the boxes. And once you kind of finished with the box that you're in, you can go on and do any of the other ones. I encourage you to do all of them, but if we could just start with the number that is associated with your group, that will help us make sure we fill them all in. That was a lot of directions. Any questions before we get broken into our groups? I have a lot of people on from the ROE, so I'll try to get some of them in each group. If you have any questions, I'll also pop my head into different groups. I'll roam through, so I'll be around if you need anything from me as well. We'll take about, running a little long. We'll take about 10 minutes to kind of brainstorm of these. If we seem like we need more, we'll take a little bit longer, but I do want some time to talk about instruction as well. So, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and open the rooms. It will ask you to click on a button and hang on, it will take you over to your breakout room. Here we go. All right, everyone should have been asked to join. There you go. Is anyone that's still in this room, do they need help getting over? We're able to get, okay.
They were like,
I can tell by how slowly everybody came back that I did not give you enough time to talk, and I apologize for that. When we go back into our groups, we can finish the discussions if need. If you're not muted, go ahead. So we didn't get that. And then, but please feel free to unmute. I was watching it as you guys were filling it in, and I also got to bump into some of your rooms. So thanks for all of your sharing. I had great conversation. A lot of people saying, "Oh, I didn't even think about that," or you know, we're doing this, try this. And so lots of great collaboration there. I loved hearing that. Let me pull this up. And if somebody from each group just wants to, as we go through, either talk about what your group decided or you had any good ideas. I'll pull here the organization of classroom. So group one, do you want to share out a little bit as to some of the things you thought about? Just a quick summary, or anybody else who popped some information in there?
So I'm from Riverbend School District, and right now our plan, of course it might change, but right now we're planning on having half the students in attendance up until Labor Day. So instead of a full 20, we'll have 10 in the classroom. And then after Labor Day, we'll have the full class attendance, just so that it gives us time with less kids in there to figure out exactly how we're going about the social distancing and how the center's time is going and everything like that. And for center's time, we're planning on having 4 groups with about three kids in each of those 4 groups, and then setting a timer where the 3 kids can be in each group. So that way it's smaller groups. And also the 4 groups that we're having is just art, snack, water table, because we're figuring if there's soap and water, then kind of gets rid of the germs, and iPads that we can easily wipe off. So we're probably not going to be able to have all the regular toys and different things out like we usually do, but we're hoping for those 4 centers and rotations.
Great ideas. Anybody else to add into any of the ideas from box 1 here? Thanks, Shelby. All right, I see lots of ideas using different cubbies, so the students have their own cubbies, eliminating all the extras, your dramatic play, and some of those soft toys, and then keeping books in Ziploc bags so they can sanitize between uses, those types of things. Very good. Oh, and this one extended down. There was another group down here that was having students have their own pencil cases with their manipulatives in it. Or having, if you're for your math centers, having like a crayon box full of different types of manipulatives. So they have each of those. You don't have to keep cleaning those between groups. They can each have their own individual glass dividers for tables, square mats or hula hoops to kind of help students know their boundaries. Great ideas. How about the groups that talked a little bit about the PPE or our face masks? Anybody from group 2 want to share?
I can. We talked about, some of you may have seen on Facebook, the attaching a lanyard to the face masks. So during those breaks, they have them right there and they won't be losing them or putting them down when they're getting a drink or having a snack. The suggestion was also made to do the scarf masks, and that may not be what they're called, but then so they're always around their neck, and then we won't have to worry about losing them. One of the things that I shared that we had talked about in one of our planning committees is that the kids are probably going to have an extra mask. Just like we have a change of clothes, they'll probably need a change of masks for each student, because who knows what might happen to those masks during the time that they are with us. And then Lauren shared a really good idea that she had seen about the kids making their masks and making them personalized, where you get a white mask and then maybe some fabric markers, and then let them decorate their own mask so that they have that mask that they can use it as a personalized thing.
That's a great idea. And I think that having that backup mask is a good idea. I think we've probably all seen on social media the one where you see the kids sneezing into it or coughing into it or different things. So having that backup mask would be a really good idea. And I really like the social story, having a story so the students can relate to it and understand why they're wearing that mask is a really great idea as well. Thank you. All right, how about cleaning and disinfecting? Looks like we have a lot of good ideas for this. Anybody from group 3 or any of the other groups that add stuff? Want to add that in or want to share a little bit?
Yeah, I will share.
Thank you, Shalise.
For group 3, we really like the weed sprayer idea for the outside equipment. We had not thought of that yet. We talked about each child having their own bin of manipulatives that they would reuse. We couldn't decide on an amount of time yet for that, but that's a good thought. I had read somewhere that students, instead of using crayons because they're so porous, should use markers that the crayons might want to be put away for a little while. So we talked about each student having their own markers in a place that was theirs. We talked about a cart outside the classroom to set toys and things that need to be sanitized that we don't want the kids to pick up for a certain amount of time during that class time. And then maybe even putting a Rubbermaid with a lid on it with a little bit of solution in it or some wet soapy water or something so that they could sit in there and soak, and they would be closed from kids passing by in the hallway. We talked about the importance of AM manipulatives and PM manipulatives, making sure we sanitized in between classes. We have a Clorox type sprayer that can go through the classroom and sanitize things quite easily between morning and afternoon. And that's going to take some extra time. Sanitizing cubbies and manipulatives, I just said that. Sanitize again after each class session. I had seen a document from the state of Tennessee where they talked about dividing the classroom into areas and having the teachers rotate instead of the kids. Instead of choosing centers, the teachers would have maybe 3 activities per day scheduled that they would do in those 3 groups. One group would have to be kind of self-managed for one of the rotations, but we talked about maybe setting up the room so that it wasn't necessarily centers, but maybe like 2 small classrooms in one where all the things the kids would need would be on half the classroom, so they're not crossing over each other all the time at centers.
Great idea. Very good. Okay, thank you so much, Shalise. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Group 4, restrooms, drinking fountains, food services, some of those ideas. Anybody from group 4 like to share?
I'll share. We just talked about cleaning or having individual and prepackaged snacks instead of kind of like the family time, style. We talked about table dividers. A lot of us, though, we were talking, might not have the funds to be able to do that. So we weren't sure. So one of the, somebody else said that they've seen where they used like a shower curtain instead of having like the plexiglass, which is a lot more expensive. The student would bring in their own water bottle and then use like a filling station. I know our janitors are unhooking our water fountains right now, unless it is a water bottle fill station. But then we also, another person said that they have, like using disposable cups with like a water cooler in the classroom. That way the kids would not have to leave the classroom. For the bathroom, we weren't sure, do you have to wipe it down between each child's use? And like, I'm lucky enough to have a bathroom in my classroom, so that's a little bit easier. I could do that. Not sure about how everybody else is going to do that. And then we also talked about just having like disposable dishware. That way we're not having to make sure, trying to get everything cleaned and sanitized correctly. That way it was just disposable.
Great ideas. And yes, I know you guys do snack time, and that's part of your learning day. So good to get those ideas out. And with the bathroom, I think we'll, again, hear more about that in the guidance. And I apologize that I don't have the answers for that. And last but not least, the playground and outside learning ideas. 5, or anybody else who added to that?
I can talk. So we had, you had the beach towels or the kinder mats, and then the canopies to start with. And then some districts have closed their equipment until further guidance, so they can't use their playground equipment, but they can use the outside grassy area, things like that. Like the idea with the gallon sprayer, some people had heard that there's going to be some type of a fogger kind of thing, whether that's, what we think of when we think of like bugs and stuff, I don't know, or what that term exactly means. One of the things that we were kind of concerned about was, what is the kill time? I know before listening to Mimi, I didn't even think about kill times and how to, plan for that. How to schedule, like, what about bikes? Some places have bikes. That's always a hot item. Possibly ending the session early and send the gross motor time home to be done with the parents instead of at school. That, when you're talking about sending stuff home, gross motor time is probably one of the easier ones because it's not as many items or resources that the family needs. It could just be, like you're out for a walk, you're balancing on the curb, or, there's other things that you could do that don't require sending a lot of materials home or that equity piece. with the families. And then I think somebody put like not allowed to use playground equipment, class activities or class outside, and just as much time outside as possible, which, you know, we can pray for good weather, but, you know, we're kind of in that, not in a great, we're not in California, so.
Sure. Okay, thanks, Diana. Yes, and that kind of, the idea of having the parents do a little bit at home kind of segues us right into the instruction piece. So I do want to get into that a little bit today. I know that's, once we get some of these logistical ideas down, we can start to think about what does instruction look like. Now, as we know, early learning, we learn best by play. Play is so important. Play-based instruction is still best practice. So, but we're gonna have to be a little bit more creative in what that looks like and how we can still keep our students playing, learning, and engaging and talking to one another and explaining their thinking. So I'm going to share my screen and show a little bit of a presentation here just for a couple minutes. So I talked to you a little bit about the state coming out with high priority or high leverage standards. For your three-year-olds last year, they lost a quarter of their year. And then your kiddos this year, probably in some way, whether you are hybrid and you're only seeing them every other day, or you're seeing them every day, but it's a shortened day, or just some of these protocols may take longer. In one way or another, we probably are going to lose some instruction time this year, unfortunately. So how can we still make sure that our students are getting as much as they possibly can in our instruction? And so so as I said, ISB had asked some teachers from all over the state to come up with priority standards. Which standards, if we really work on those, are going to give our students kind of the biggest bang for their buck, are really going to help them to keep moving down the road and access other standards next year. ISB has not released those yet, but our ROE team worked on those priority standards back in March when this all first happened. And so Michelle Potoff pulled out some of the early childhood, early literacy and early math standards. So we're going to look at some of those today. Now they may look a little different than ISB's when ISB's comes out, but I was just grateful that we had some already pulled for us to work on. So I'll show this next slide. I had this texted to me and I thought it was pretty good. So that Harry Wong book, I'm sure many of you are very familiar with, that we used in as new teachers. We kind of all feel like new teachers now, but unfortunately Harry Wong does not have a section about virtual learning or about using play-based instruction in social distancing. So we are on our own to really be creative and think about what's best for kids and their practices. So thinking about these high leverage standards, we're going to pick the ones that are going to, like I said, really help our students get the main goals of what they need for the year. That big red disclaimer at the bottom, we are not saying that we are letting all the other ones go. Those may just not be taught explicitly. They might be more in your center time or some of your other things. So what standards are your most highest leverage, which may be more of a supporting role? And where can we do some pulling together? Maybe we can come up with a math and science lesson where we can pull some math and science standards together that can really promote some engagement for the students, and they can get through those standards all together in one. Some other things to think about when we think about our high leverage standards, looking at that standard and creating a success criteria. How will I know when the student has reached or mastered the standard? And if I start by looking and kind of laying out what the students need to know for the standard, then I'll know, I'll be able to kind of pre-assess them and know how I can get from point A to point B. So having that success criteria will really help. Then it'll help you to budget your time and your pacing with your high leverage standards. Again, pre-assessment of those standards will really help us know where to start and where to end. And then that will help us also with who might need some intervention, and then also thinking about our special ed goals if you have any students with IEPs that need to write goals. So those are some of those thoughts. So I'm going to stop sharing and go back to our planning document. That was just a real brief idea of kind of the high leverage standards and why we're using them and how we can use them. So on our planning, oops, sorry, let me grab it here. on our planning document. The second session part of it is the different content areas. We have our math and our ELA. So Michelle had picked out quite a few of these as priority standards. So what I'm going to ask you and your group to do is to choose one math and one ELA if we have time. And so choose one or the other to start with, and if you have time to pick another one. And what I'd like you to do is look at that standard. You might want to start with the assessment, with that success criteria. What do the students need to be able to show me? What is my evidence of learning that I know that they were able to do the standard? And then we're going to talk about what kind of lesson could I use to teach that in class with the social distancing requirements I have. And if we would have to go to remote, how could I take that same lesson that I would be doing in class and move it to a remote setting? So I just thought this would be a great time for teachers to kind of collaborate, start brainstorming, thinking about what lessons will really look like with some of these restrictions and requirements that we have in our in the guidance right now. And then also the idea of, if we do go remote, how can we best still continue to teach these standards in a remote setting? So we have several here for early math, and then several more for early literacy. So if you and your group would pick one to start with, and then my goal is to get as many of these in so that you'll have some to go back with and start the year with. But we'll see time. I'll probably give about 20 minutes to work on these, and we'll come back and share out. So any questions about kind of the instruction, the idea of how we're going to continue with our play-based learning? We still know that is, best practice, but it's just going to look a little different. And we're going to focus our attention on these high leverage standards so we can help our students get as far in this year's curriculum as we can. Any questions before I put you back in your groups? Okay, the planning document is there in the chat again. So if your recorder doesn't mind pulling that up, and you guys can type right in there. I'll give you 20 minutes to really just think about, brainstorm, collaborate, what will a lesson look like? And hopefully by the end of today, you'll be able to leave with several different lesson plans already in place that can get you started for the year. And then, like Mimi said, we'll be flexible and we'll just keep learning and tweaking as we go. So, all right, I am going to open up the breakout rooms now. I will be bopping into different ones and hear how things are going. There you go.
Hey, Krista, I wanted to share one of the things that we were talking about. Lisa had said that there is this link that's called Peer View, and if you're showing YouTube videos, you can put your YouTube video in there, and then it won't show the inappropriate stuff that might come after that YouTube video. So that's definitely nice to know, because I know sometimes those ads and some of those videos following something can be inappropriate. So
Yes, that's a really good idea. I had that happen to me as a parent. My boys were watching something very innocent, and then I was just in the kitchen. Then the next video that came up was not as innocent. So yeah, I think that's a great tip, great trick. So thank you for sharing that. All right, so I bopped in and out through different groups, so thank you for letting me listen in. I also was creeping on the sheet and watching that as you guys were putting them up, but I'd love to hear some of the thoughts. And oh, I hear that the transition guidance was just posted, so that is huge. Thank you, Joyce, for sharing that, and Sarah for letting us know. So that will be the FAQ just came out. I guess it's timely. So we won't have time to look at it today, but that'll be something you can do. So thank you for sharing that. That will hopefully give us a lot more answers, a lot more direct guidance on how we can be setting up our classroom and what instruction looks like. Thank you for sharing that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and pull up the plan first. All right. So if each group just wants to tell, I think some of you did multiple lessons, which is amazing. I was telling the group that came back, I am thoroughly impressed at how quickly teachers can collaborate, come up with great ideas. You were filling in these boxes faster than I could read them. I was really amazed. So I think it's wonderful that we have ideas for teachers to take back and start using right away. Look at all these great ideas to start our school year off, and in consideration of some of our new guidance. So let's go backwards. Let's start with group number 7. Group 7, do you want to share just one, either literacy or math, one thing that a lesson plan that you talked about, and maybe walk us through it just briefly? Group 7.
I can go for
Thank
group
you.
7. So we actually did a couple, but one of them we did for writing. We did experiment with writing tools and materials. So in class, we were saying that you can just observe and document this through the students' free art time in small groups or during free choice time. And it's important to make sure that they have markers, pencils, crayons, etc. Available to all of them, so they can pick their writing utensils and practice with a variety of them. And then for remote, we were just saying
stay.
For remote, we were just saying that art and writing related activities can be assigned to the students and completed at home, and then parents can send in pictures or videos of the students doing the activities to the teacher. But we said it was important to make sure that the students all have access to the materials that they'll need at home. So sometimes, like, I know a lot of teachers in the spring were sending home materials with the students' packets and everything. So it's just something to keep in mind when you assign those.
Yes, we have to be really conscious of what families may have at home. So I heard some great, I can't remember who to give credit to. Maybe Michelle was sharing, with groceries, you can have them think about sorting, whether they're sorting the canned goods or the food that goes in the refrigerator. So being creative in what items they may already have at home, but not assuming that they would have some of the basics that we would hope they might have. So yeah, thank you for sharing. Group 6, would you like to share one of the lessons that you wrote about? If you can tell me the standard, I will pull it up. Some brave soul from group 6.
We were doing the math one on sorting. I think that's when you popped in.
Okay.
So you sort of said some of the things that we put on there.
Sorry, I stole your thunder. I apologize. Okay, go ahead and share anyway.
That's okay.
There.
We thought, like, in class, we could have a paper plate so that way we wouldn't have to wash it. But then we'd have different seeds and they could sort seeds. And then remotely on how it would look like they could sort by shape or size. And then we could ask them, how did they sort? How would they explain it to us? And then we could ask, could you sort it in a different way? We could take a photo of that in class. That way we could upload it and also look at it and write down what they had said. And then at home, that's when she said you could sort cans from the grocery store. You could sort mail by size. They could sort socks. So a lot of different things that they could sort at home that they wouldn't have to go out and buy.
Great. Yes, it's nice to think of how we can do it in the classroom and easily transition to home. Thank you very much for sharing.
We were also in that same group, we were talking about reading stories to the children and asking questions. They had a lot of really good ideas about in the classroom and being socially distanced, but still having that carpet time or, you know, some substitute for carpet time. You know, Sarah had suggested the teacher reading the book for the lesson prior to class without masks so that you can show facial expressions, you can read the book, and then playing that video in the class, you know, because you'd have your mask on in the class. And there was lots of different ways, you know, utilizing those big books again, pulling up the books on the smart board, spreading the kids out around the classroom. So just lots of different ways to still give them that opportunity for sharing and enjoying stories together, and then wanting them to ask and answer questions just like we would normally in the classroom.
Great ideas. We want to keep a lot of those interactions that we've had in the past. We want to keep those going. So I love the idea too of having it read without the mask on so the kids can see your face and see you read it and your expressions, and then showing that while they're in class. Great ideas. Thank you, Michelle. Group 5, I believe we're on. Group 5, would you like to share one of the standards you worked on?
I can share for them. We did the math one about counting to 5, or, you know, grouping and counting to 5. And that we had talked about counting their snack, counting their toys, maybe, you know, grouping with their gross motor time, and then remote, whether they're out for a walk, like counting how many birds you see, you know, how many things that you see that are blue, things like that. And I can't remember what we put for assessment, whether that's, you know, in the centers, you know, having them build something or give you something that, you know, whether it's a manipulative, and then, you know, whether you're talking with the parent of, you know, did they give you this or that? So, and then I think we did one, it was down for the reading. I can't remember. It feels like a long time ago. It was the book. Yeah, it was read aloud in circle time using Seesaw. Have the kids send comments or questions about the book back in Seesaw, and like how it applies to their life. Somebody had done a book about Father's Day, and so they had, you know, what are the things that you do with your dad, things like that.
And that's nice for those of you who may be using Seesaw as a learning platform. Students are able to record themselves. So for your preschoolers who may not be able to type out their responses, if they see a video and they want to react to it or share their ideas and thoughts, they can record it and turn that back in. So, and then the teacher can hear it, and also other student to student can hear it if you turn that feature on. So that could be a great way to do it as well. Thank you. And I did something else you shared, Diana. One of the groups I was popping into, and I popped out right as they were talking, but the question was, do we kind of trust what parents, how they might self-assess the students, or how they would assess the students? And I can tell you that that was a big question for some of our family educators as they were evaluating the Preschool for All kids and asking them to go ahead and fill out the ASQ. And they weren't sure if the parents would be able to appropriately assess their kids. But from what we heard back, many of them were very happy with the results they got from the parents. They felt the parents did a really nice job, were very accurate, and were able to display the students' strengths and weaknesses very well. So I thought that was really good to hear. So I think that we can encourage a partnership between the parents and teachers, and that we can, if we're in a remote setting, we can work together to teach and assess our kiddos. So that was a really good thing that I heard.
Yeah, I think it's really drawing a good, connection. And I also think it's helping parents kind of remember how to play again. I think we get really busy and it's hard for parents to kind of get back to that play-based. And so I think it does help and kind of get them more engaged in their education.
Great. Thank you, Group 5. Group 4, would you like to share?
I'll go ahead and share again. We did the one with the patterns, the 8. Yep.
Okay.
So that one was kind of an easier one. For in the classroom, we just said to use the manipulatives so they can duplicate and extend the simple patterns. For the remote, same thing. They could use their parents could send you pictures or videos of them creating patterns. It can be as simple as when you fold clothes, that's a pattern. You do it in a certain way all the time. They can pattern their animals, their cars, anything like that at home. And then for the assessment, just the picture of the student that completed the pattern. And then also, if they can explain to you why they did that pattern and what the pattern is. So like in my classroom, we do a lot of patterning every day. And, so then the kids know if it's an A-B pattern, if it's an ABB, what, and that. And so then the kids can explain that kind of pattern.
Very good. Thank you. Group 3, would you like to share one? I'm getting better at wait time on Zoom. Group 3. All right, Group 2, would you like to share? Maybe we've already covered most of them. All right, or Group 1. Is there anybody from Group 1 that wanted to share any that we maybe didn't cover yet? All right, well then I will stop sharing. It looks like we have a lot of lesson plans up there. We were able to pick up those high priority standards. And again, these are the ones that came from us at the ROE that we felt like were really good high leverage standards, but we will be looking for them to come from ISB hopefully soon. Once they are released, I will add them to the document that we have there, the planning guide, so you have it all in one spot. And I'm so excited that we have the new FAQ out. So please take a chance. I'll add that to the planning document as well. Take a chance to look through all of that. I wish we would have had it before today, but I'm glad we have it now. A couple of questions in the chat I'd like to open up to the group. First question was, any thoughts on sand tables or Play-Doh and water? One of the groups talked about water tables, but how about sand tables and Play-Doh? Please unmute and share if you have an idea.
Well, Play-Doh, we're going to do individual little ones in their little boxes.
That's a good idea. I think a lot of things will probably have to be individualized as manipulatives, but at least we can still have the students do it next to each other, some parallel play, and then they can still have those conversations and they can talk about what they're making, what they're creating. We can still really encourage all of those discussions, even though they may not be able to play with the exact same manipulatives, they can still be doing the same types of activities next to one another, so that's good. And then we had one other question about the face shield, and I see your eyes moving, so I have a feeling a lot of you are reading through the FAQ right now. So does it say anything about if we are able to use the face shield while doing a read aloud? I know that was a question we presented to the state, was if we would be 6 feet away from other students, if we could use face shields in certain situations where we felt like our kids really needed to see our face. I have not seen the guidance yet, so I'm not sure. I don't know if anybody else has found that in there at this point. Anyone know that answer yet? Okay, well, we will, oh, let's see. Oh,
Not open it up and look at it, but there is a section on masking and face shields on there, but I was on here, so I didn't read it.
okay, thanks, Sarah. So it sounds like there's a little more guidance on that, so we can open that up and look at it after this.
Krista, it just says the same thing from before, that they don't want masks being used unless you need to do it for a specific reason.
Okay, all right, thank you, Sarah. So it sounds like no.
Somebody had just posted that they're going to use the mask with the clear plastic part.
Yep, I know one district has purchased clear masks so that the family, or so the kids can see through and see what you're saying and see all your expressions. And I believe it's just called clearmask.com. Is if you type that in, you'll be able to look those up. I looked those up the other day. That was nice. I like the idea of you know, people just even being in Walmart, I like them to be able to see my face and know that I'm smiling at them and not mad at them for cutting me off in line or something. So I know for our kids that would be a really nice thing too, if they could see your face. So that's an option.
Krista, that was actually a question we specifically asked. Our program specifically asked if we could use face shields while reading books if we're social distancing with the class, and they're going to get back to us whether or not that will be possible with our district.
Okay, if you hear Stacy, would you please pass that on to me, and I will make sure I pass that on to the group.
Sure.
Thank you. All right, any other questions for the good of the group while we have all these amazing early childhood minds on? Okay, again, if you have not signed in, please use that Google sign-in form to sign in so you can get your CPDU hours. Our office workshop coordinator, Jamie Hale, will be sending that out in the next week or two. You just fill out a real quick evaluation and then your CPDUs pop right up. And I do welcome the evaluations. I like to know what you need, how you interacted with the session, and if there's anything I can do better next time. So please take a moment to fill that out. I would appreciate it. You all have access to the folder where we will have our Zoom link and recording and everything in there, as well as our the PowerPoints. So those will be in there, and I'll also continue to add these guidances on those forms. Thank you, Gail. Just put the sign-in form in there for me. So if you didn't have it yet, it's on there now. So I think that is everything. If you have any other questions, please feel free to email me anytime. I'm happy to do my best to answer them. And I appreciate all of your hard work today. I know that we were really thinking outside of the box, but thinking about what's going to be best for our kids this fall. And I'm really excited to see how it's all going to work out. I know you guys are going to do amazing things. So thank you for all your hard work. Continue to add to that planning document. If you think of other things, or if your district implements something else that you think would be good for the good of the group, please add it into there. And you can also continue to fill in those lesson plans. We'd really appreciate that. All right, so I think we are just right at 11 o'clock. So go enjoy the rest of your day, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone.